According to the World Health Organization, global violence takes 1.4 million lives per year. This equates to 3,800 deaths per day. That wasn't the casual introduction you were expecting, was it? Well, these children, yes, children, weren't expecting their lives to be cut short so early on either. I want you to keep the following statistic in mind. Every 7 minutes, a child dies in their community at the hands of violence. Let that sink in. I think the main issue with violence is that misconceptions lead us to believe that the only effects are death and injury, but there is so much more to it. An exposure to violence in any shape or form can result in suicidality, drug abuse, chronic heart, diabetes, and cancer diseases, and even an imitation of said violent crimes. So you can do everything physically possible to improve good health and well-being, but unless controlled, national economies, mental and physical health, and healthcare will all come crumbling down at the hands of violence. If you couldn't tell already, I'm an aspiring advocate for SDG 16, and I am here to spread my passion to the rest of you. A majority of the people here will already have an understanding as to what peace, justice, and strong institutions is. Do you know what it is? As soon as you hear the words peace, justice, and strong institutions, what comes to mind? I asked a group of 15 teenagers what they thought when they heard these words. My research concluded that 8 out of 15 of these students talked about eradicating conflict and war, and the rest of them talked about popular logos surrounding peace. This is exactly what I mean. We all think we know about this SDG, but really we don't. Not one of those students mentioned the exploitation of children. Not one of those students mentioned legal identity. And not one of those students mentioned effective institutions. To no fault of their own, the ignorance displayed really highlights the severity and urgency of educating the youth about this SDG. The reason there is such a lack of progress in achieving peace, justice, and strong institutions is that there's a scarcity of people who actually know what it means. An SDG isn't just an individual goal. It's a group of targets and indicators that serve as foundations to the entire goal as a whole. I now want to delve into certain targets and indicators to really comprehend what these foundations are and to better educate you as an audience. Let's start by looking at SDG 16.9. By 2030, provide legal identity to all, including birth registration. It is a human right for children to have a name and a nationality, but for 230 million children, this is not the case. These unregistered children are deprived of essential privileges such as access to amenities and child rights. They cannot attend school, utilize public transportation, or have access to healthcare. Their lack of legal documentation means they can't get married, they cannot escape prosecution, and they cannot enter the business sector. They essentially do not exist in the records and live their lives in the shadows. I'm sure many of us here have experienced that feeling of loneliness, feeling that you aren't being seen or heard. Well, for these children, that is the everyday reality. So what about institutions? Nobody really ever mentions them, and that's where 16.6 comes into play. Develop effective, accountable, and transparent institutions at all levels. A common trend I noticed while conducting my research was that not many understood what an institution was. So the dictionary definition of an institution goes as follows: an organization, establishment, foundation, society, or the like, devoted to the promotion of a particular cause or program, especially of one at an educational, public, or charitable character. How is this relevant, you may ask? Well, organizations and establishments are fundamental to the development of all SDGs because they are built to serve purposes such as promoting the rule of law, or supporting the economic growth of developing countries, or reducing poverty by providing basic facilities. If these institutions are not to a high strength and standard, they cannot adequately serve their purposes. So if you think about it, strong institutions are the very key to making significant advancements in every single one of the SDGs. Yet hardly anyone knows what it is. Do you see the problem here? Now, enough lecturing. Let's move on to the most anticipated part of this speech. What can you do to help? Well, life is life, and there's no simple answer to this, but stay active. Vote. If you can vote, participate in votes, and if you cannot, persist until others do. Spread awareness. Tell your friends and family what you learned today, and encourage them to do their own independent research too. Take part in conversations. Provoke conversations with everyone around you so that they can become actively involved too. I understand that the latest TikTok tea or the new trends are a lot more interesting to talk about, but this is our future, and drama is not going to save us. Donate. Find trustworthy charities and give everything you can whenever you can. Going the extra mile will really mean something to someone out there. For us here in the UAE, Red Crescent is an accessible, incredible charity that I think you should definitely consider learning more about. To wrap up this speech, I would like you to recall the statistic I asked you to remember at the beginning. Every 7 minutes, a child dies due to violence. Well, between the time from the start and finish of this speech, a death has already occurred. By the end of the entire session, a mother could have lost her entire family. I implore you to take action. Be the change that you want to see. To quote a specific lyric, "The time is now, the day is here. You are the future."